This video will go over how to pair your classes with Schoology and McGraw-Hill, create and sync assignments within Schoology, view and edit those assignments within Schoology, and finally, deep link to McGraw-Hill assets and the resources in Schoology. Please note that this video only applies to teachers in SSO and auto-rostering districts. If you are unsure which access service applies to your district, please read the Access Services description article to learn more. Additionally, if you don't see the McGraw-Hill tool described in this video, please check with your district IT to make sure that Assignment Sync and Grade Passback has been implemented for your district. The first step in utilizing Assignment Sync and Grade Passback within Schoology will be to pair your classes. Before we get to that step though, I do want to go over how your course tiles and sections might look or function in Schoology, and that will enable us to pair our classes correctly. So I'm using this courses view to kind of explain this concept a bit, and then I'll also explain it here on this screen, which is likely the one you default to when you log in. So from this courses screen, each one of these tiles is an individual course tile, and you'll notice some of them, like this AP History class, have a little chain link icon. What that chain link icon really represents is that we have one or more classes linked together into a singular course tile. So in this example, we have an AP History course, and we have linked two classes together into this one tile, and that's how we get this chain link icon. And you'll notice here we have section 1, section 2. This is a great way to identify if you have multiple classes within that course, or if you simply have one class per tile. Further in this example, we have an AP History course, and it's the same course for all three of these tiles. And you'll notice that for sections 3 and sections 4, this tile and this tile, those aren't linked together at all, and so it's actually just one section per tile. This will be very important when we go to pair the classes, as when we open up that screen, it will actually list all 4 of these sections, but it'll be very important that we only pair the section for the tile that we launched. So in that future step, if we went into AP History Section 1 and Section 2, when we launch that tool, we will actually see all 4 of these sections, but since we launched the course tile for Section 1 and Section 2, it's critical that we only pair Section 1 and Section 2. And once again, I will explain that a little more in depth once we get to that pairing step. And then on your course dashboard, it's a little harder to identify those cross-linked sections, but because we don't have that chain link icon. But one thing you can look out for is if you have multiple section names in that tile. For example, for our AP History class, you can see we have Section 1, Section 2. So I know that there's 2 sections for that course, whereas my other 2 AP History tiles have just 1 section each. There's only 1 section name, and there's no comma separating them. I would also like to quickly note that there is no requirement that you have any of your sections cross-linked. Every district and every teacher will definitely use Schoology a bit different, and when it comes to pairing your classes, rather you need to pair multiple sections at a time or not, again, based on the course tile that you launched, strictly depends on how you like to use Schoology. Rather you have cross-linked sections or 1 section per tile is totally up to each individual teacher and how you personally prefer to use Schoology. So let's go ahead and go into our cross-linked history course tile, which does have 2 sections. And once your district has configured and set up the McGraw-Hill LTI 1.3 Assignment Sync and Grade Passback app, you will be able to launch that from your Add Materials screen. Once your district has configured that, we can come in here and we can go ahead and launch that. And this first screen, we are going to display to you all of the sections that we detect for the course that you launched. So as I mentioned before, our AP History course was divided into 3 tiles, but had a total of 4 classes. So we're actually going to see all 4 classes on this screen. If you recall though, we did launch the tile that had section 1 and section 2 linked together. So we're actually going to pair only section 1 and section 2. Once you're ready to pair those classes, you simply click Pair next to the necessary class, and then we will pull up a list of all classes that you have in McGraw-Hill. You'll see I have a very large list here. Now, by default, we will show a recommended class for you, which is based off of a very simple name match. But you do want to make sure you are double checking and confirming that that is the correct class, as if you pair your classes incorrectly, the integration will not function properly for you or your students. In my example, the recommended class is not correct, so it's a good thing we double checked, and the correct class for us is actually the first one in this list. So I'll go ahead and choose that. And we'll go ahead and pair section 2 as well, because we know it's part of this course tile. Go ahead and click pair. And once again, we're going to pull up that list of classes for you. And once again, I'm double checking my recommended class. It is still incorrect, and I'm going to find the correct one, which is Schoology 2. I'll choose that. Now that we have paired all of the sections for the tile that we launched, we're going to go ahead and click Save Pairings. Once we've paired all of the necessary classes, we can go ahead and create our primary section. And it's important that you make sure you pair all of the necessary classes first, as once we create this primary section, these unpaired classes will actually become hidden. So I have both my sections paired, so I'm good to go. We can go ahead and click that Create Primary Section button. And you'll want to make sure you read this pop-up, which is just making sure that you confirm that you have paired all of the necessary classes for this course tile, as once again, any unpaired sections will be hidden afterwards. Now in our case, again, sections 3 and 4 should not be paired. So we have confirmed we've paired the necessary sections, so we will go ahead and click Confirm. So basically what that does is we create an empty class on the McGraw-Hill platform that you'll be able to see if you were to log into the platform directly, which is also easy to find as we append Schoology course to the end of that class. And basically what happens is we create assignments within that primary section, and then that primary section automatically shares all of the assignments out to any of those paired sections that we just chose. So in this example, when we create an assignment through this primary section, we are automatically creating that assignment for both of these sections, both in the McGraw-Hill platform and of course in Schoology. And of course this will remain true regardless of the number of classes that you have paired on this screen. One additional thing I would like to point out about the paired classes before we move on to assignment creation is that you do need to unpair your classes before deleting your Schoology course, deleting any of these sections, or uncross-linking any of the sections. If you fail to unpair your classes before making those changes, it will break those sections, and you will need to contact the McGraw-Hill customer support teams in order to unpair those classes in our backend systems. So just again, make sure that you are unpairing your classes before making any major changes, such as deleting your Schoology course, deleting any of these sections, or simply uncross-linking any of those sections. Now, talking about pairing, since we do have multiple course tiles, we would go back and launch our next tile for section 3. We would launch the tool, and now you'll notice that we automatically hide section 1 and section 2 since they are already paired, and then we would simply continue with pairing only the sections that are in the tile we launched. So in this scenario, we would only be pairing section 3, and once we've paired section 3, that's all we need to pair, and then we would also create a primary section for section 3. And we would repeat those steps as well for our last tile, section 4, where we would pair section 4, and then finally create a primary section for that tile as well. Now that we have all of our classes paired, we can go ahead and go through the process for creating an assignment. So just like before, we're going to go ahead and launch that McGraw-Hill Assignment Sync and Grade Passback tool. And then from here, we will simply launch our primary section. Once we're inside the primary section, we do have a couple of options here. The first, of course, is adding pre-built assignments. That's going to be any of the pre-existing assets, tests, quizzes, items like that McGraw-Hill has. And then you can also create custom assignments, which is where you can create your own questions, pull questions from our question banks, and even use questions from existing assessments and kind of put them all together into your own custom assignment. And those custom assignments are going to function the exact same way with the grade passback and the assignment sync. The other thing I'd like to point out here is this sync assignment section. If for any reason you ever find that there are assignments that you created in McGraw-Hill or through this tool that aren't showing in Schoology, we actually check for those assignments automatically and will display them in this list. So if we detect that there's any assignments in McGraw-Hill that aren't yet in Schoology, we'll show them in this list. And once you click the Sync Assignments button, those assignments will manually sync into Schoology for you. So we'll go ahead and click on Add Pre-Built Assignments. And as I mentioned, this is just going to load into the interface that already exists in the McGraw-Hill platform. So once again, if your district has used this content before, or you received any professional development training, the screen should hopefully look familiar to you. Another benefit of this is that when you launch into this for making assignments, it does always pick up where you left off. In my case, I believe we're in Module 1, Lesson 3, and you can see that it immediately loaded us in here, and it's going to continue to do that. If you come in here, make an assignment in Unit 5, next time you come in, it's going to automatically come back to Unit 5. Regardless of that, though, you can always click Browse Course at the top left, choose the lesson and unit that you are looking for resources in. We'll just stick with Lesson 3. And then it will display for you all the different resources within that lesson. From here, you can explore those different resources. We also have lots of filtering options. You can filter by various settings. There's also resource types. You can filter by standards. All kinds of great stuff in there to find the resources that you're looking for. And then once you're ready to make an assignment, you would explore those resources, expand those resources, and then each individual resource is going to have this Assign button under it. And this Assign button is how you make that assignment. This is going to be different than the Deploy button, which we'll talk about a bit later in the video. But the Assign button is going to make that assignment for students, so it's going to be a scoreable activity. It's going to pass back to the gradebook. It's something the students have to submit, etc. And now this is going to be for individual resources. So you would assign just one and then this window would close. However, you can also assign multiple items at a time by clicking Assign at the very top up here. And this opens up a list of all the resources and then simply allows you to go through and check all of the assignments you would like to assign. Since we're already here, I will go ahead and assign 2. Once you've selected the resources you want to assign, again, whether it's one or multiple, you're going to scroll down to the bottom here and click Continue. And this will take you to the screen where you can set the due dates, change any of the point values, and any settings. If you're making multiple assignments, there will be some common settings at the top that you can quickly change. And these, once you click Apply, that will apply to all of the assignments. And then you can also make changes to the assignments individually as well. They can all have their own different settings, different point values, etc. Once we click Assign, the system is going to, in the background, start processing all of those assignments. This window will close automatically. It does take about 5 to 10 seconds, but it is important that you let it close on its own automatically. And we will see those links in Schoology immediately, but one thing to keep in mind is that our system is kind of still building and processing those assignments in the background. So there is a process for creating that assignment in McGraw-Hill for all of your sections. We're generating that link in Schoology. We're making sure that assignment exists for all of your sections in Schoology. And of course, we have to make that connection. That entire process does generally take about 1 to 2 minutes. So quite often, if you attempt to launch that assignment immediately, you will see an error message here. So generally, like I said, wait about 1 to 2 minutes for everything to finish syncing up in the background, and then we can launch those assignments like normal. While we are waiting for that, one thing I do want to point out is in your gradebook, you will notice that these assignments are not yet listed here. One thing you will need to do is go to the bulk edit screen, and you will need to make sure that you assign a category to any of those assignments. So these are the 2 that I don't have yet, so I will turn these into assessments because that's the only category I have at the moment. I'll click Save. And then once we go back to the gradebook, you can see that these assignments are now listed. It looks like it's these ones in the middle. And so now when our students complete those assignments, we can see their grades in the gradebook. One thing to note about the gradebook as well, specifically for students, is that although students can access their assignments through Schoology directly or through the McGraw-Hill platform if they so choose, students must launch at least one assignment from within Schoology during the school year. Until that student has launched one assignment through Schoology, the McGraw-Hill platform will not actually be able to sync grades for that specific student. Once they have launched an assignment from Schoology, however, thereafter they can continue to launch their assignments either through Schoology or through McGraw-Hill, whichever you or the students prefer, and their grades will continue syncing automatically after that point. Now that it's been a few minutes, we should be able to launch these assignments here. And when you launch the assignment as a teacher, it does bring you into the teacher view. You can view the assignment individually for each section, which will show you student submissions. It'll give you the opportunity to do any manual grading that needs to occur, and any other things like that. Alternatively, if you need to make any edits to the assignment, that's where you would want to simply go to Edit Primary Assignment, and that's where you can edit the dates, edit the points if possible for certain assignments, and as well as adjust any other customizations that might be available. One important thing to note is that if you do need to make any edits to the assignment, such as the dates, points, any other items like that, you do need to edit that assignment through this screen. This is because the assignment sync and grade passback integration is kind of a one-way road. So we send information from McGraw-Hill into Schoology, but no information in Schoology gets sent back to McGraw-Hill. That is to say, if you were to instead try to edit the assignment through here, through this edit button here, any changes you make here would not save, and they would not pass back to the McGraw-Hill platform. So again, if you need to make any assignment changes, You do want to make sure you're doing those through the McGraw-Hill version of the assignment through this screen. Just to quickly touch on student access as well, as a reminder, students can launch and complete these assignments through Schoology like we are in here, or they can also do the assignments directly in the McGraw-Hill platform. If they launch the assignment in Schoology, it will launch into the Schoology iframe here, and the student can complete the assignment while staying within Schoology. Once the student submits that assignment, it will of course appear for the teacher so that the teacher can review and grade that assignment as necessary. And finally, we will talk about how to deep link to McGraw-Hill assets in Schoology. So in order to deep link some of our assets, the steps are going to be pretty similar to creating an assignment. First, we'll launch the tool. We will then go into our primary section here, and then we'll go back to add pre-built assignments. Once again, this is going to load us in the interface that matches with the platform directly. And unlike making an assignment, this is where we're going to be using this deploy button. Again, much like an assignment though, we can also deploy it. We can either deploy individual resources by clicking the deploy button under each individual resource, or if we click deploy at the very top here, we can check off multiple items to deploy at once. And the purpose of this tool is it basically allows you to put assets and resources directly into your course without it having to be a gradable assignment. A big use for this might be something like, in social studies, like some sort of map you want students to reference, maybe formulas or tables, but ultimately just something you want students to be able to use without it necessarily being an assignment. Very similar to an assignment, like I said, so we'll click deploy here at the very top. We'll grab a couple of random resources, and then at the bottom, we'll click continue. Now, because this isn't an assignment, it's not going to ask us to create any dates or points or any settings, and this screen will actually close on its own immediately after we click continue. And then at the bottom, you can see that those resources are now available. Also, unlike assignments, we don't have to wait 1 to 2 minutes for anything to kind of sync in the background, and these should be launchable pretty much immediately. And that's it for this training video. Please be sure to also review our PDF instructions, which are linked in the description of this video. And if you have additional questions, help is also available from our support teams.